Hey guys, it's Amy. Welcome back to Too Blessed. I have been wanting to film this video for quite some time now. In fact, actually I did film it, I think twice, and I've been having a lot of technical issues between my phone and my computer and our internet service. It's been a little crazy, but I really wanted to share an update with you guys because I know it's been like over 2 months now since I shared my last video, and there's just been a lot going on. So I'm just going to kind of jump in and update you on what's been happening and what's been going on with me, mostly health-wise. So I went back and looked, and my last video was back at the beginning of November. I think like November 2nd, I think it was. And at that point, I was making plans for Christmas. I had started my Christmas decorating, and I was excited and getting ready to put out some videos. And then my body just decided that that was not such a great idea. So I think the last that I had shared as far as my health was that I was starting at a new transplant center because we had been turned down by Vanderbilt. So we have started that process at UT Hospital in Knoxville. We've only had like one visit up there. Well, technically two. We went to the first like informational session, and then we had a second appointment where we went in and talked to the dietitian and a social worker. So we're still just kind of starting that process. One thing that is different with UT is that they have a threshold for where your weight needs to be, and UT's threshold is a little bit lower than Vanderbilt was. So I actually have a little bit of weight that I need to lose. Right now I'm hovering because it fluctuates a lot, but I'm kind of hovering around needing to lose about 10 pounds. I've gotten down as close as being like 3 pounds away from where I needed to be, and then it came back up again. So that's been frustrating. But really the most frustrating thing has been that I've been sick recently. And I had my gastric stimulator replaced back in the spring, and we thought that was going to really make things better, but then I just kind of had this flare up again in November and December where I was just sick and nothing seemed to help. I ended up in the hospital a couple of times again, and we were kind of fighting with the doctors at the hospital because they didn't want to give me the medicine that usually helps when I go to the hospital. So that was frustrating. They just didn't want to give it to me, and I would spend days in the hospital throwing up and so sick, and then when they finally would agree to give me this medicine, almost immediately I would feel better and I would go home like the next day. So it was just really frustrating that we couldn't get it, and you know, nobody wanted to give it to me. I feel like we've gotten that straightened out now. So hopefully that won't be such an issue. I've been able to get that medication to have at home. We ordered it through our mail order pharmacy, and it's actually on its way right now. Should be here in a day or two. So that's going to be a big help, I think. But we are still kind of stumped trying to figure out why I keep getting so sick and what we can do to remedy this, because it's not going to help my case for trying to get a kidney. So I needed to go back and see my surgeon who implanted my stimulator to see if they could make an adjustment. And when I called them, this was back at the beginning of December, when I called them to make an appointment, I was informed that the doctor was out of the office for the entire month of December. So the earliest appointment they could give me was January 2nd. So I had to wait through the entire month of December, just hoping and praying I wouldn't end up in the hospital again. So that was also adding to the frustration. So I made it through December. Obviously, I'm here. I survived. And I did get in to see them on the 2nd. They made an adjustment to my stimulator because they can turn up like the intensity of it. So they did that, and immediately after that, I was actually sick again. So it's so hard trying to figure out the cause of different symptoms, because also the kidney failure can cause nausea and vomiting and things like that. So everyone is quick to say, oh, you're vomiting, it's because of your gastroparesis, but I don't believe it is. I believe some of it is from the kidneys. So there's that. But one thing we had talked to my surgeon about previously is another procedure that they've started doing. It's actually another surgeon that's in his team does this procedure. And he had recommended it to me the last time we had talked to him. And since I'm not doing any better, we've decided to go ahead and see if we can move forward with having that procedure done. So right now we're waiting just on them to get approval from our insurance. Once they can do that, I will hopefully get in. The surgeon said I should be able to get in pretty quickly and get it done, because January and February are typically pretty slow months for him. So he said that shouldn't be a problem. So the procedure they want to do is, if I can explain it quickly, there is a muscle at the bottom of your stomach that controls when it opens so that food moves out of the stomach and into the intestines. And this muscle is a circle. And so basically what they do is they go in and they snip this muscle so that it relaxes and it just opens like that. It's not a fully open, but it's like a C shape, he says. And so it opens, and then just from gravity, some of the food will move out of the stomach just because that muscle is relaxed. So that's what we're looking at. They actually do it just by going through the mouth, like in endoscopy. So that's kind of nice. It won't be like an invasive surgery that I have to really recover from, as far as having like incisions and sutures and things like that. So hopefully that will be good. Another thing that I've been struggling with, which I've been struggling with for months now, is my dialysis access. If you've been around a while, you know I had a fistula that failed in my left arm. Then I had a graft in my right arm, which has also failed. Then they decided to do a graft in my leg. So I had surgery done on my left leg. I had that done the week before Thanksgiving, the Thursday before, in fact. And even before we got to Thanksgiving, they realized that that graft was not functioning. So it's just kind of been like one thing on top of another, adding to my frustration and my stress, and I haven't handled it well. It's been very difficult. So at that same time, I was having so many issues with being sick that the surgeon who did the graft in my leg, he said most likely what's going to happen is they may end up having to go back in and do another surgery on that leg to try to see if they can open that up. But he didn't want to do that until we could sort of get my stomach issues calmed down a little bit. He didn't want to add to my sickness and the other issues that I'm having by having me undergo another procedure. So everything's just kind of on hold right now, waiting to see if they're going to be able to do this other procedure on my stomach, and hopefully that will ease some of my symptoms, and then after that we will see what's going to happen with my leg. So for right now, we are still using this chest catheter. That's how we access for dialysis. And if it comes to a decision that that graft in my leg cannot be salvaged, then I will just have to continue with the catheter. That's really the last resort that we have. They don't like to use that as a permanent access because it has a very high rate of infection and a higher risk of being infected. So they typically don't like to use those as a long-term access for dialysis. But again, this graft in my leg was our last option. And so if it does not function, we won't have any other choice. Which is another reason that I was really anxious to try to get approved for a transplant, because dialysis just hasn't been great for me. I know there's people, I've read about people that have been on dialysis for 20, 30 years and have done just fine. I don't seem to be one of those people. I just don't handle the dialysis well. It seems to be very taxing on my body. And even my nephrologist has said that, like, some people handle dialysis well and other people don't. And I just seem to be one of those in that category, unfortunately, that don't handle dialysis well. So that's where we are right now. So basically, November and December were just pretty miserable. I was sick. I was exhausted. I had a lot of time that I just spent in bed because I either couldn't get up or I didn't want to get up. I'll be honest, a lot of it was I didn't want to. It was very emotional. And I don't like that, but it is what it is. So, I mean, I had started my Christmas decorating on the day before Halloween, and when we had our Christmas gathering on Christmas Eve, I actually still hadn't even finished all of my decorating. There were quite a few things that I wanted to do that I just ultimately said I'm not going to do them this year, because I just, like, up until just a few days before Christmas Eve, I was still just completely exhausted, and I really got to a point where I wasn't even caring about most things. Like, I love Christmas. I love the decorating. I love preparing. I love Christmas. And I just didn't care. For the better part of those 2 months, I just didn't care about any of it. I wanted to get it done, but I wasn't enjoying it at all. I really wasn't. So I did end up starting to feel better. In fact, right up until the day before Christmas Eve, I was a mess. I was ready to call it off. I didn't want anybody to come over. I was done. And then actually, when I was talking about getting one of the medications that I needed, this particular medicine, we had fought to try to get it. I had gotten a limited supply of it and had used it up by that point. I was actually able to get a refill of it on the day before Christmas Eve. And I took it that night. That night I was still feeling pretty sick. But then by the next morning, I felt amazing. On Christmas Eve, I felt so great, better than I had in 2 months. And since then, I've been doing pretty good. There's been a day or two here and there, but for the most part, I've been feeling pretty good. So I'm thankful for that. Thankful for whatever days I can get that I feel okay. Like the last day or two, I've been feeling really run down and tired again, but not horribly sick. So fingers crossed. Now, one of the other things that I've got coming up is that before the surgeon does this procedure for my stomach, he wanted me to have another gastric emptying scan. And it's been quite a few years since I had one of those done. But he wants me to have one done before I have that procedure so they can do one after the procedure and see if there is any difference. So I'm scheduled to have that done on the 14th, which is next Tuesday. And I'm very nervous about it because for 3 days prior to that test, I will not be allowed to take any of my medications. I can't take anything that promotes motility, and I won't be able even to take nausea medicine. So I'm very nervous about what that's going to do to me. So next week, well, this coming weekend, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, I will not be able to take any of those medicines, and I'm terrified, to be honest, because I don't know what's going to happen. And then on Tuesday is when I have the test done. So hopefully that will go okay and I will make it through those days. I'm just really, really hoping, because if I get sick and I can't take nausea medicine, that could end badly for me. We'll say that. So, I think that's all the updates. Like I said, that's basically what's been going on. Another reason that I haven't really posted any videos is that I've been having a lot of technical issues. I got a new phone, and my new phone didn't seem to want to communicate with my old laptop. I couldn't get any of my videos to download to my computer so that I could edit them so that I could put up a video. In fact, I had actually filmed in November, I had filmed probably 3 or 4 different videos, but each one had multiple clips to it. And when I would try to download those clips to my computer, it would always lose at least one of them. And so I would have like the beginning clips and the ending clips, but something in the middle would be gone. And the whole video was basically useless because those clips were just missing. So then on top of being sick, I just got to the point that I just kind of said, forget it. I'm not going to mess with it right now. And so I just kind of waited until I was feeling better. And then my husband actually bought me a new laptop for Christmas. So that these videos that you're seeing now have been filmed on my new phone and edited on my new computer. And so that has been really nice. I'm very thankful that he did that for me. And then he also surprised me and he got me an air fryer for Christmas. So that was exciting. So I've been experimenting with that and kind of playing around with cooking different things in there. So I think, again, I think I said this, but I think that's everything that I wanted to share. So if you're new here, I would love to have you subscribe to my channel, and you can follow my journey of my sporadic video uploading and the drama that's happening in my life. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one.